They took 460 million euros, and they almost disappeared without a trace. That is how one stunned witness described the jaw-dropping alleged fraud that has just been shattered by a series of international raids led by the European law enforcement community. Imagine waking up to discover that thousands of promising crypto investments were nothing more than elaborate illusions, operated by a cunning network of masterminds scattered across continents. Today, we dig into the heart of this dramatic story, unveiling how the entire operation was painstakingly crafted, the staggering sums involved, and the deeper implications for all of us who have ever felt the pull of digital gold. What is driving this colossal wave of crypto trickery, and why have the authorities' swift actions become a defining moment for the future of digital assets? In this powerful episode, we will piece together the clues from the hush-hush arrests on the Canary Islands to the sophisticated artificial intelligence strategies fueling a new generation of online scams. We will explore the fallout, investigate the major players, and trace the global hunt for justice. By the end of our journey, you will understand exactly how one of the biggest cons in modern finance fell apart, and why it could happen again if we let our guard down. In this hard-hitting analysis, here are the key questions we will tackle. How did these criminals allegedly ensnare 5,000 unsuspecting investors? What role did international organizations like Europol, the Guardia Civil of Spain, and agencies in the United States, France, and Estonia play in cracking the case? And could these arrests signal a broader effort to clean up a digital marketplace that, by some estimates, faces illicit activities climbing ever higher each passing year? Stay with us, because we will also uncover how the network's arrest might shape the future of crypto oversight, and what lessons law-abiding investors can glean to avoid falling prey to too good-to-be-true schemes. It all started with a confident promise. Invest your money with us, and you will join the brave new world of free-flowing digital wealth. That was the lure that allegedly persuaded thousands to transfer their hard-earned funds into an ever-expanding cloud of cryptocurrency accounts. Swept up by the hype, rookie and seasoned traders alike found themselves mesmerized by social media claims, persuasive marketing calls, and luxurious online materials boasting foolproof systems. But behind the glowing brochures lay a different story, one of deception, shadowy wire transfers, and shell companies pivoting under multiple names. Investigators say the early signs of fraud were there from the start if one knew where to look. An undercurrent of suspicious banking arrangements, unusual patterns of cash withdrawals, and untraceable crypto transfers. Yet the scheme's architects were patient. They allegedly built a sprawling network across borders, weaving together corporate and banking systems in Hong Kong, funneling transactions through hidden corridors. All the while, they insisted it was a legitimate global business, fueled by modern innovations in blockchain technology and unstoppable momentum towards a crypto-dominated future. Clients were drawn in by the siren call of double, triple, or even quadruple returns in a matter of weeks. Every enticing figure was spelled out in official-looking documents, fueling hopes that digital riches were only a mouse click away. Skilled recruiters dangled exclusive invitations to invest in platforms that promised to be the next big thing. In marketing blurbs, the operation appeared squeaky clean. References to established cryptocurrency experts, endorsements from fictitious professionals, and even sly name-dropping of advanced digital security measures. Some potential investors hesitated at first, but after seeing so many success stories, they caved. While the actual mechanics of the alleged scam were intricate, the bigger story was heartbreakingly simple. Agents claimed that once the money was in, the victims' funds were siphoned off and laundered into countless nooks and crannies worldwide. From there, the organization allegedly circulated staggering volumes of cash, bank transfers, and crypto transactions, burying their tracks behind an almost impenetrable labyrinth of accounts. By offering a steady drip of fake profits to early investors, the group avoided suspicion and kept a steady line of new customers hoping to join in on the revenue. All of this might have continued indefinitely if not for the coordinated efforts of multiple agencies. Europol, in collaboration with the Guardia Civil of Spain, the United States, France, Estonia, and others, launched a thorough inquiry when suspicious activity hit the radars of financial authorities. Reports began trickling in from all corners, victims complaining of vanished funds, irregularities in corporate registration, and accounts that turned up empty when anxious investors tried to cash out. Investigators dug deeper, discovering questionable usage of front companies and cryptic electronic footprints. Degree by degree, the net closed. In late June of 2025, authorities swept in with synchronized raids. 3 suspects were arrested on the Canary Islands. 2 more were taken into custody in Madrid. Coordinated reconnaissance had monitored their movements for weeks, laying the groundwork for a surgical strike that also sought to preserve evidence from digital and physical sources. The seizures included data servers, troves of flash drives, and a labyrinthine record of transactions that will take time to fully untangle, but which may finally provide proof of how the group allegedly channeled nearly 460 million euros out of unsuspecting investors' pockets. Shortly after the arrests, a press release from Europol unveiled the scale of the alleged crimes. More than 5,000 people impacted, with hundreds of millions effectively vanishing into the pockets of scammers. It has ignited a firestorm, partly because it reflects a far bigger phenomenon. As crypto becomes more mainstream, cunning operators finally see not just a niche market, but a worldwide opportunity to exploit. For a digital universe built on fast-paced innovation, such frauds topple investor confidence and rattle the entire global ecosystem, seeking mainstream acceptance. And this scandal is hardly a one-off incident. Reports indicate that 2024 was a year drenched in crypto-related threats, with shrewd criminals pivoting towards sophisticated tactics. The introduction of artificial intelligence, ironically a remarkable tool for growth, has also been weaponized to generate phony marketing campaigns and to manipulate unsuspecting users into giving up personal information. According to data, the overall global revenue from crypto scams soared to nearly 10 billion in the last year, with experts projecting it could climb to 12 billion or more if unaddressed. Europe, as a major financial hub, has seen more than its fair share of these losses, culminating in calls for stricter regulations and transnational cooperation to keep citizens safe. The numbers for the United Kingdom alone make for grim reading. They lost an estimated 33.2 billion to various forms of fraud and scams in 2024, an amount that equates to roughly 1.5% of the country's total gross domestic product. Even more striking is that figure represents nearly 1/3 of Europe's aggregated fraud losses, tying it at the top with both France and Germany. While these countries differ in the specifics of their trading laws and consumer protections, the universal rise of decentralized finance has opened fresh avenues for criminals to exploit. Many wonder whether the clampdown that just took place will prove a turning point, or merely a speed bump in the unending cat-and-mouse chase. Fascinatingly, Italy, Portugal, and Romania have also joined international efforts to combat illicit crypto activity. By knitting together law enforcement agencies under one umbrella, the hope is to thwart criminals who thrive on the anonymity of the internet and the complexity of cross-border regulations. Spain's role in the downfall of this particular criminal network further underlines that no region is exempt. The once sunny Canary Islands became the epicenter of a high-stakes cataclysm that forced Europe's policing arms into action. Investigators believe that this is only the tip of the iceberg, with other hidden networks possibly lurking in the shadows. You might be wondering, why should you or anyone else care if you have never directly invested in cryptocurrencies? The reality is that huge heists of this nature have an unsettling ripple effect. They undermine faith in groundbreaking financial tools. They push regulators to clamp down more severely, which can stifle legitimate innovation. And in an era where digital transactions and online business define modern life, a climate of mistrust can hamper economic growth. Moreover, the criminals behind these operations often channel their proceeds into broader illicit activities, which can threaten public safety and global stability. If you are intrigued by the detective work, or if you are simply shocked that hundreds of millions can evaporate so stealthily, go ahead and tap that like button. With one easy click, you help us bring more stories like this to light, ensuring that this vital information reaches as many people as possible. Now, let us pivot to the real question burning in the back of every observer's mind. What makes crypto scams so tantalizingly effective? Experts point to a combination of psychological and technological factors. The promise of crypto draws from the frontiers of finance, an ever-evolving world that can be quite intimidating for novices. Mixed into these new opportunities is a potent optimism that anyone can strike it big overnight. This synergy can dull caution and lead investors to send money into opaque, unvetted projects. Then there is the anonymity factor, Cryptocurrencies are, by design, decentralized, meaning there's no single authority overseeing transactions. While that can be a plus for legitimate uses, scammers exploit it and vanish with other people's digital coins in ways that are difficult to trace. Authorities have likewise lamented the advanced technological feats that criminals have begun employing. This includes the alleged use of artificial intelligence to automate thousands of personalized emails, posts, and targeted advertisements. On a larger scale, criminals sometimes even code sophisticated tools to launder crypto seamlessly, converting it into various currencies and making it nearly impossible to pin down the final beneficiary. The parallel growth of big data and machine learning has further enabled them to precisely target certain demographics, be they older retirees fearful of missing out on a new economic boom, or tech-savvy millennials looking for the next hot opportunity. But in the midst of danger also lies potential hope. The extraordinary arrests we are dissecting today reflect deepening international alliances. Law enforcement agencies no longer dismiss crypto as an unregulated playground. Instead, they are forging new partnerships, investing in technologies that can unmask criminals, and enlisting insider expertise to understand how transactions flow through the blockchain. For every cunning ruse, there is a specialized unit racing to keep pace, whether by scouring the dark web for leads, analyzing suspicious transactions in real time, or prosecuting money laundering suspects who, before, seemed untouchable. This synergy within international operations extends beyond conventional policing. We see more frequent talk about unified legislation, designed to standardize rules and clamp down on criminals who attempt to use the anonymity of open markets. In Brussels, for instance, policymakers are drafting new guidance to ensure that crypto exchanges adopt robust know-your-customer procedures. The ultimate goal is to strike a balance that preserves the innovative ethos of digital currencies while dismantling the hideouts used by organized crime. Meanwhile, the crypto market itself has not been immune to the turbulence of these events. Even as news of the arrests broke, the total crypto market capitalization hovered at around $3.25 trillion, with a slight dip of less than 1% in day-to-day activity. The Fear and Greed Index, a popular gauge of market sentiment, lingered at a neutral level, suggesting that while investors remain vigilant, they have not entirely abandoned hope in blockchain's future. Bitcoin, the all-powerful titan of cryptocurrency, stands at just over $107,000 in its valuation, while Ethereum is around $2,435. Investors weighed these events cautiously, seeing them as a possible sign that the industry is becoming more regulated and, over time, might actually become safer. Curiously, some of the lesser-known altcoins even saw modest gains in intraday trading. Algorand, referred to by some as an eco-friendly competitor, spiked interest when rumors spread that it might partner with a major financial institution aiming to refine blockchain transparency. While these developments are overshadowed by the shocking revelations of mass fraud, they do hint at the unstoppable dynamism of digital assets, which shows no sign of receding into oblivion. Now, a critical point that investigators raise. The alleged criminals' methodology was not only sophisticated, but also reliant on the ignorance of average investors who were lured by exaggerated success stories. That ignorance, ironically, is both the Achilles heel of many crypto projects and the wedge scammers thrive on. When you hear about towering sums of money made from a single coin or wild claims of unstoppable ascendancy, it is natural to feel that you may be missing an enormous opportunity. That sense of urgency can override due diligence. At this point, it is essential to ask whether the recent arrests will change how the world invests in digital assets. On one hand, spokespeople from various consumer interest groups say that individuals will likely become more careful about where they place their funds. There may be an uptick in background checks, demands for proof of reserves, and a general reluctance to trust new platforms without thorough research. On the other hand, crypto enthusiasts highlight that while criminals can exploit blockchains, the technology itself can be used for good. With the right approach, the transparency and traceability of digital ledgers could help regulators and individuals alike monitor suspicious flows. This entire saga, and the enormous sums at stake, illustrates something crucial. Knowledge is power. If you are someone contemplating your next big crypto move, you need to be armed with the correct information before you sign on any line or tap any button. If you appreciate content that keeps you informed, now might be the perfect time to subscribe, so you never miss an update about major developments that could save not just your portfolio, but your peace of mind as well. Returning to our story, it is worth noting that the detainees remain under investigation. Depending on the evidence recovered, more arrests may follow. Legal experts predict that prosecuting a case of this complexity, featuring cross-border financial transfers, digital asset wallets, shell corporations, and multiple jurisdictions, will be no simple matter. However, they also believe that the presence of multiple collaborating agencies strengthens the likelihood of convictions, especially if forensic analysts can decrypt, reconstruct, and demonstrate the money flow that allegedly funneled victims' investments into personal bank accounts. Success in this case would set a meaningful precedent, sending a stern message to any would-be criminals that law enforcement is catching up in the chase. Of course, there are critics who suggest that the entire crypto space is fundamentally a bubble waiting to burst, especially given repeated episodes of hacking, exchange collapses, and illicit fundraising. Nonetheless, the sheer resilience and growth of the market point to a world increasingly comfortable with digital assets, albeit still finding its footing when it comes to regulation. Even if the technology is neutral, human behavior is not. Where there is the chance to earn staggering returns, unscrupulous minds will seize the opportunity for deception, preying upon the hopes and dreams of everyday people. If you have stayed with us up to now, you likely realize that the question is not whether crypto is good or bad, but how we collectively guard against blatant misuse. The drama of these arrests shines a light on that threshold. On one side is the promise of unstoppable innovation, frictionless international commerce, and new forms of wealth creation. On the other side lurk criminals eager to mutate those aspirations into personal gain. Our best arsenal remains a combination of knowledge, both among law enforcers and everyday citizens, plus the political will to erect guardrails without stifling genuine progress. Looking ahead, there is talk of specialized crime-fighting units adopting advanced analytics software that can parse the blockchain for suspicious patterns in seconds. Collaboration with major crypto exchanges that are increasingly forced by regulations to verify identities may help identify the next wave of fraudsters before they get too large. Educational programs can also nurture a new generation of investors, less prone to blindly chasing get-rich-quick claims and more focused on verifiable data. In this sense, the downfall of the so-called criminal network that defrauded so many might serve as a cautionary tale, galvanizing more robust and universal standards. In summary, the situation at hand is both a cautionary and instructive episode. It begins with a swirl of promises that digital riches could be ours if only we trust the illusions, and it culminates in a triumphant crackdown that spans multiple countries, hundreds of law enforcement agents, and advanced forensic technology. Perhaps this synergy of effort speaks to a new era in financial policing, one in which criminals benefit far less from the murkiness of international borders. At a time when technology races forward at a dizzying pace, it is vital that justice systems adapt just as quickly. So, what lessons can be drawn now that these alleged masterminds are behind bars? First, that no investment, especially in digital currencies, can be guaranteed safe just because it is marketed by a shiny website or a charismatic spokesperson. Second, that cross-national cooperation has become an imperative for confronting increasingly global cyber threats. Third, that the phenomenon of crypto scams will not simply fade away if we fail to educate ourselves and remain vigilant. And fourth, that a single well-coordinated crackdown can rescue countless people from financial ruin, broadcasting a potent message: criminals are not untouchable. From the dramatic arrests on the Canary Islands to the roads of Madrid, where the last 2 suspects were taken into custody, the significance of this case is impossible to ignore. And in the weeks and months ahead, as we learn more about the evidence, the shell corporations, and the precise laundering trails, the bigger picture will come into sharper focus, a truly global puzzle spanning continents and weaving in everything from advanced technology to good old-fashioned detective work. Ultimately, the question is whether we, as a society, will heed the wake-up call. Will we stay on top of crypto developments, empower ourselves with knowledge, and demand transparency from the platforms we choose? Or will we leave room for the next cunning network to siphon off more unsuspecting fortunes? The story of this crackdown is still being written, and it offers a clarion call for those who would stand on the sidelines. One thing is certain: The wave of crypto-related scams in Europe and beyond has reached a pivotal juncture. Whether that leads to healthier ecosystems, enhanced accountability, or an even slicker brand of manipulation will come down to the combined efforts of everyday investors, tech visionaries, regulators, and determined law enforcers. For all the talk of unstoppable digital currencies, the real force to be reckoned with might just be the collaborative spirit that brought down this alleged fraud ring. We hope this deep dive has broadened your perspective on the complexities of crypto crime and the vital importance of staying alert in a fast-moving online environment. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the labyrinth of international intrigue and cutting-edge cyber tactics. Remember, if you found this story compelling, do not hesitate to share it, so more people can remain vigilant and protected in these unpredictable times.